Hi everybody, Leslie here. So today I'm going to share with you how to make this lovely card. So this is a sliding puzzle card, and hopefully you can see it's also got a shaker in it up here. Shakers are so hard to get on camera on a flat overhead, but hopefully you can see there's a shaker piece. So I've been making these for a few weeks now, and I've been loving these. You can put pretty much anything you want on the top as long as it remains flat enough that you can cut it at the end. So you don't need any special crafting equipment. Basic crafting equipment, trimmer, scissors, pencil, ruler, that sort of thing is all you need. There's different ways you can make them and different sizes you can do them in. So I thought today I'd show you how you can leave part of your panel intact. So this one up here, these pieces of, as you saw, all come out, and then these ones all come out. So you can send it to your recipient with it all loose in the envelope, and they've got to make their own card, but they've got something left on the card for them to match it up to, which you'd think it might make it easier, but it depends. If you put a repeating pattern in the background like this card has, with the stenciled background in this case, it's actually a lot harder than you'd think. I've left all these pieces sitting in order because when I pulled them all off, it was actually really tricky because these 6 up here and these ones across the bottom and the ones that haven't got any bits of letters on are actually really hard to work out where they fit. So there we go, all finished. Now, you might have already seen this card on my really long video. There's nothing new in this card if you're in this video rather if you're already subscribed and you've watched that great big long video, but I realized that some of my videos have just been getting a bit too long. So if you've already seen it, thanks for watching. That was a really long video, but I'm going to add chapters down the bottom so you can see how I make bits of the panel and separately how I make the actual puzzle mechanism, so all the bits underneath. So it's a bit easier if you want to skip around and check how things are made rather than watching the whole long video. So hopefully that's helpful to those of you that are already subscribed. And I think I'll stick to this shorter format going forwards. So yeah, I'll add chapters. I'll add links to loads of other videos that have got sliding puzzle cards in them as well. I've got a playlist of those. If you could like, subscribe, notify, all that lovely stuff. It really helps all us little creators. So let's get on with it and make this lovely card. A 5x7 card I'm going to do, but I thought I would do it so that you can see that you don't need to make the whole of your front panel of your card into a puzzle. You could have something else going on there as well. So I thought I'd use this stencil, and I'm going to use some sparkle medium, which is, it's like a gel paste with glitter in it. And this is one of the ones that I rescued on one of my Use Your Craft Stuff videos. So you'll see it's a bit white and hazy in there, but I'm going to show you that it still works perfectly. And I've not done anything to this since I rescued it. Oh, it's a good few months ago now. If you look back in my videos, you'll see the Use Your Craft Stuff sparkle medium and how you can revive these even when they've gone completely solid. So I'm going to use that so you can see that it still works as well. So we're going to do a bit of stenciling, and I'm going to go autumnal today. I've got this Falling Leaves die, which came in a magazine a few years ago, but it's a hot off the press one. And from my haul at Farnborough at the Creative Craft Show last weekend, I've got these Happy Birthday, which are perfect size for a 5-inch wide, so 5x7 card. So I'm going to use these ones as well. Anything that's got a repeating pattern is always going to make a complicated jigsaw puzzle, or in this case, it's not a jigsaw puzzle, it's a sliding puzzle. So this is, it's an A5 stencil. I think it's by Card Making Magic, which is one of the brands that Craft Stash sells. And I know Craft Stash is available in the US as well. So yeah, so this is Falling Leaves. So this is Simply Leaves A5 stencil by Card Making Magic. I've had this one a while. This is the sparkle paste. that I rescued. And you might be able to see it's a bit lumpy, it's a bit cloudy looking, more so than when you buy them fresh. But I promise you, this is still going to work. So although it looks lumpy, watch. When you actually come to put it on a stencil, other than I just lifted my stencil because I caught my spatula there, look, all those lumps just sort of come back out. And I promise you it still dries. It's easier to revive them before they go really solid, but this one was pretty much rock hard when I got to it. I bought this in a job lot of things on Facebook Marketplace, and even though it looks all this lumpy bumpiness, I promise you, you can revive them. If it's any sort of sparkle paste where the cleanup is with water, so you wash your tools in water, anything like that, then you can revive them. And I'll link in the description to the video where I explained exactly how to do it. If I lift this off now, because this is craft card, you can see where it's absorbed a lot of the water, but as it dries that disappears and it gets more and more sparkly as it dries and as the glue dries out of it. Okay, so we've got our background, and I'm just going to bring on the one I did this morning just so you can see it side by side. In the best teleform, here's one I did earlier, and just to prove it is exactly the same thing, and I've just got it ready and cut it down ready to my 5x7 size. So this was exactly the same as this, and it had the wet marks on it, and hopefully you can see they're pretty much dried out of it. Hopefully you can see it, and you can see it's all lovely and shiny. So this, hopefully, is going to make a nice puzzle, and it's nice and tactile, so it's got, hopefully you can see it's got a little bit of dimension, but not enough that I won't be able to cut through it to make my puzzle later on. I thought it'd be quite nice to make the leaf into some sort of shaker, but obviously I can't have a shaker on puzzle pieces because it'll just fall apart. So what I thought we'd do, so you can see where I'm going with this is a 3-inch square of foam, which you can see my leaf die fits on nicely. So my plan is, before I make my puzzle pieces for the top, I'm going to cut out the top 3 inches, and we can have 2 puzzle pieces here and here, and then our puzzle pieces going across as usual. So that's the plan. I've not tried it yet. We'll see how it goes, and hopefully it just gives our puzzle something extra. I have cut my own strips this time. This is the last 5x7 card that I made, and because I used 3/16 inch strips on this one, hopefully you can see as you go towards the edges, your piece gets further and further out. For the maths to be exactly right, the tape, it should be 1/4 of an inch, so 4/16, 1/4 of an inch. And as you go further and further, you can see it really clearly on this row. Can you see my back piece is a long way over? So for this one, I've made them 4/16 of an inch. And the reason I've been making them 3/16 of an inch is because the actual foam tape that I've been using is half a centimetre or 5 millimetres, same thing. And that is 3/16 of an inch. So I'd made the strips on this card to match my foam tape. But actually, if you're doing it in inches, you want them closer to 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to make this card with the 1/4 inch strips that I've made in the same way as I made them for this. So the same foam that I'm going to make my shaker with, I just backed it with double-sided tape, This is pound shop double-sided tape, it's nothing fancy. So I backed it and then used my trimmer to cut it exactly as I did on the Gorgeous Girls card. I've also pre-prepared all of my strips. So I've got my 1/2 inch strips, I've got my 3/4 inch strips, so I've got all my foam pieces all cut, in this instance to 1/4 inch. So these are just cut on my trimmer. So I've got my back panel 5 by 7 inches to match my front panel, which is also cut to 5 by 7 inches. So as I've done every other time, in the direction that I want to slide my puzzle pieces on, I'm going to mark at 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, and 6 inches. And draw a line across. I'm just going to temporarily tape to it because it just helps my eye keep everything square and lined up. So I've got my lines square with the lines, and I'm just going to go and stick one of each of these onto each line. And don't do what I do when I'm filming and get carried away and forget that I'm leaving my top corner with nothing in it. So in this instance, look, I need this top corner to not have anything in it. So when I rotate it round, it will actually be the top corner. I know it's the bottom corner at the moment. So scissors and cut off this one. So for sticking these pieces down, we need to leave this top corner empty. Okay, and I'm just going to flip it over and trim all these extra bits off from the back. And I obviously need one across the top here. So now, as you can see, we've got this top corner left free so that I can put something different in here but still have puzzle pieces here and on the rest of the card. Our 1/2 inch pieces, again, I'm just going to line them up with my mat, stick one of my strips as close as I can get, nice and straight down the middle of my piece. We don't need 7 full ones because I can cut this one off sort of roughly to start with. Same principle applies as when we've made these before. We've got our one in our slot and we've got our central one. So if I start with my central one again, and I want my 3/4 inch piece stuck as centrally as I can get on that. The same goes for all of these pieces. Now, I need a full slot in here because we're going to have a piece that comes all the way up to here. But I think I might just give it a little trim, just so it's not going to get in the way. So, like I say, I haven't made this yet. This is my first time making this version of my card. So we need a mark 3 inches along, which it would be there. We can add it that way up. So I've just marked my 3 inches along, which is the bit that I'm going to leave out the top, and I'm just going to trim kind of a little bit off with my scissors. I'm not going to go mad. This is the mechanism inside the card. You'll see it when the pieces aren't in the card, but you won't see it when the card's made. So, looks pretty good to me. So what I'm going to do is peel the backing off my next strip. Like we've done every other time. Get this one so it's in place, butted up, so it's reasonably tight so the pieces aren't going to go flying out, and put my piece in there. And I've got a little bit of the sticky showing there. I'll just put some anti-static powder on. So there we go, we've got our first piece that will slide in and out. And then I'm going to do the same thing. My piece here, that side straighter because I didn't cut it. I'm going to slide that one in there, take the tape off the one that's stuck down, get one of my pieces, and I'm just going to butt it up to this piece, which is my 3-inch piece of foam. It's not stuck down, it's not doing anything yet, it's just acting like a placeholder for my 3-inch extra piece. So because I know this is only 2 inches, I'm just going to roughly cut it off for now so I can reuse this piece on the next bit. This should, I think I've got this piece a little bit wider. It looks a bit wide, so I'm actually going to peel that one off, because if you look, these are supposed to be 3/4 of an inch. I think if I stick that to my mat, you can see it's wider. So I'm just going to make sure that I can get this one in here and then stick this on. All I need to do is trim off all these extra pieces. So there is the base of our card ready, but obviously we need to do something in this top corner. So I need to now think about how I'm going to use my top panel. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut my 3-inch square out of this top corner. So I'm going to do that. So I know it's this bit, so I'm just going to put a mark on the back to make sure I'm cutting the right piece out. So I've got my top piece that I'm going to make my shaker out of, and I've got a piece that's going to end up sliding in and out here, and my top piece will cover this little bit that you can see in there. So this bit's going to stay on the card when these puzzle pieces come off. So I'm just going to run this through my die cut machine, and then I'll mark it and transfer it onto my foam as well. So I just ran it back through with it lined up with the foam, and I love how dies always pretty much cut perfectly through foam. So I took the middle piece out after I'd cut it and then cut the foam. So there's the walls of my shaker ready to pop onto here. Because I've got plenty of space round, I'm just going to cut a little bit off, just all the way around anyway. And then I can stick my leaf to my foam in the right position, and then there shouldn't be anything sticking out anywhere, if that makes sense. So this is going to end up in here, and once I've stuck my leaf on, there shouldn't be anything hanging off anywhere. Hope that makes sense. So I've got a piece of acetate that I can sandwich between these two. I've got all that glued ready. I am just going to leave that to dry. And I think I will put that on after I've done the puzzle pieces so that we can make it line up to the puzzle. So this isn't complete yet. I want it to have the happy birthday down here. And I was also going to do, I think we'll do the same thing with the, so this die came with the outer edge and the veins separate. Yeah, and I think we'll do the same thing. And then we can stick that to the acetate as well. So I'm going to actually do the same thing and back this with some tape. So now this is just going to sit in here like a puzzle piece, and then it will match with my sentiment. There we go, we've got our shaker window built up ready. So what we need to do now is cut these into 1-inch strips. I'm just using my metal ruler where the dimensions go all the way to the end, the measurements go all the way to the end, just to roughly cut them into 1-inch pieces. So now all that's left for us to do is cut this up, stick it to there, and then get our shaker in. Because we've got these short pieces up here, I think I'm going to cut it this way first, and then we'll come back and go in the other direction. All I need to do now is, as we've done every other time, get my bottom edge as straight and square as I possibly can and work my way up my puzzle. So, as I've done every other time, I am just going to bring my scissors in, tip them. I'm not cutting the top panel, and anything that's hanging over the edge, just make sure that it's cut off. So hopefully all my glue's dried on this now, and this will hopefully sit in here like this. Now, there was me thinking I trimmed enough off the foam at the bottom, and I've not, so I am actually going to have to peel up the glue. So on my card, because we've got our slot here, a nice strip, I haven't quite trimmed enough off this bottom piece of foam. So because I know that the foam cuts really easily, I'm actually going to do it. Be very careful, obviously, not to cut through the front piece. So what I've done is give my foam at the bottom a little haircut so that this will fit nicely in here. So last thing to do, other than stick it on my card blank, obviously, is finish our shaker. And I think just to make life easier so that I can just drop it in here when we're finished and stick it in, I'm just going to cut another piece. I can use one of my offcuts that's got some of this on and just use the back. And I'm just, from my stash, grabbed some sequins that I thought might go. If you look, these ones are very close in colour to the sparkle paste that we used. So all I'm going to do now is then put glue all over the back of this bit and drop it in. Although it's not the same shade of card, I think it'll be less obvious if there's any overhanging bits, sticky out bits, than if I used the white. It won't be quite so obvious if it doesn't quite match up everywhere. Hopefully you can see my shaker bits up there. Having a little shake about. All these pieces, like, and all the others. So the 6 in this top corner come out, And then all the rows all come out, and they come out from both sides because we've gone edge to edge on this puzzle. Everything slides in and out. And I think this would be quite nice for somebody who was perhaps visually impaired, because there's enough texture in the pattern that they'd be able to feel. So hopefully they'd be able to feel the happy birthday and also feel the glitter texture. So there you go. You don't have to make the full front of your card into a puzzle. You can incorporate something else. I'm not sure if I actually specifically said it, but the other reason to use your foam, if you are going to put a shaker on like this, what's worked out really well, obviously, is because I use the same foam, this brown kids craft foam, to make the strips which are doing the job making the puzzle part. It's exactly the same depth as what I've used to make the shaker. And as long as you only run it through your die cut machine once, I've found the foam comes straight back to what it should be, especially if it's warm. And if it's a cold day and it's not springing straight back up, just warm it back up with your heat gun and it tends to spring straight back. If you run it backwards and forwards through your die cut machine 2 or 3 times, it won't come back. You just want to run it through the once. And I don't think I've ever had a problem with a die not cutting through the foam first time. But don't run it backwards and forwards, because then it won't spring back even with heat. So there you go. Hopefully there's a few tips on there and a different idea. Obviously I've used a leaf, but this could be the idea of having a snow globe up there, or any other shape that you've got that you want to make a shaker out of. You can incorporate that and have less puzzle pieces, but still, because these pieces, these 6 up here, are going to look the same as these 4 down here, so only the ones with the letters on are going to be obvious where they go. It makes it a much harder puzzle, especially if you've got a repeating pattern like the stencil in the background. So yeah, I'm really happy with that one. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you've learnt something new, and hopefully it was helpful to see about the sparkle pastes as well, and how you can revive those. Do we think it's time for Christmas cards yet? Shall I skip to Christmas? If you pop a comment down below so I know whether you think we should go to Christmas or whether we should stick with non-Christmassy cards for a while. What do you think? I know some people love getting the Christmas cards done all early, and some people want them, last minute. So yeah, let me know. Do you think it's time to make Christmas cards or not? Yeah, and if you've been enjoying my content and you're already subscribed, you can hit the notify bell so it does tell you when I pop a new video on. I'm not consistent with when I upload. I realise that. I just upload them whenever I'm ready to do them. And yeah, if you've not already subscribed and you're enjoying my content, it'd be lovely if you did subscribe. It helps all us little creators, just get, a little bit more motivation, I guess, to keep making videos if we know that people do actually like them. So that'd be fantastic. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.